Please subscribe to our channel, Pacific Front Untold, and be sure to leave a comment after watching a video.
Shinagawa's story begins under its original name, Shinagawa Prisoner of War Camp, officially established in September 12, 1942. Just 13 days later, it was reorganized and renamed the Tokyo Prisoner of War Main Camp, or also known as Omori. The entire compound was relocated to a man-made island in Omori-ku, and was largely built by the very prisoners from Shinagawa Camp that it would house. By August 1, 1943, the Japanese military carved out Shinagawa Hospital, a separate facility used to treat the malnourished and diseased Allied prisoner of war captives the Japanese held. Despite its outward appearance of just another prisoner of war camp, the Shinagawa Hospital quickly became the site of clandestine human experimentation, under the direct supervision of Captain Hisakichi Tokuda, who served as its senior Japanese medical officer and commanded. In a post-war deposition used at Tokuda's Yokohama Class BC war crimes trial, Lieutenant Commander J.R. Davis described Tokuda's behavior and appearance as, quote, "Tokuda is repulsive in his appearance. His slender, about 5 feet in height, slightly stooped, and very bow-legged. His weight may be around 100 pounds. His vision is bad, and at Shinagawa he wore heavy spectacles, without which he was helpless. He was quite studious, and he would spend hours and hours, day after day, in his room with piles of books all about him." Dr. Tokuda performed multiple experiments on the Allied prisoners of war within the Shinagawa Hospital. Today, we will look at the most deadly of them all, the soybean milk injection experiments. Commander Davis stated that from time to time, Tokuda urged prisoners to subject themselves to operations. However, if prisoners refused to be operated on, Tokuda was harsh on them. In one instance, an American sailor named Fry, who had a stomach ulcer, refused to allow the accused, Tokuda, to operate on the advice of Allied doctors. Tokuda struck Fry 2 hard blows to the stomach with a rubber reflex testing hammer. Fry was so severely hurt that he had to be assisted from the examination room. According to transcripts from the Yokohama Class BC war crimes trial, former prisoner of war nurse's aide John H. Williamson provided key testimony against Captain Hisakichi Tokuda, recalling his experiences at Shinagawa Hospital with harrowing detail. Within his testimony, Williamson described how Tokuda would routinely instruct him to set aside a daily cup of soybean milk, a nutrient-dense food supplement made on-site by fellow prisoners. While soybean milk was generally used to combat malnutrition when consumed orally, Tokuda selected it as an injectable substance of choice. He believed in what is called high-protein therapy. He was wondering if it might yield physiological results when injected directly, despite its unsuitability for intravenous use. Critically, Tokuda did not strain the milk, and Williamson noted that large clumps were often present in the mixture. These unfiltered injections left swollen welts at the administration sites, swelling so severe that Williamson or another would have to massage the area in hopes of reducing pain and tissue damage. The first known subject of these injections was a British prisoner of war named Roland, admitted to Shinagawa near the end of 1944, initially diagnosed with nonspecific stomach ailments, a diagnosis which shifted multiple times before arriving to stomach cancer. Roland was administered the first experimental soybean milk injection, and he died shortly afterwards, suffering violent convulsions and foaming at the mouth in what eyewitnesses described as an agonizing death. Testimony from the trials identified several additional victims from Tokuda's unauthorized procedures. These included Thomas Hampston, Ernesto Saxida, and Walter Dawson. Each were subjected to experimental treatments without informed consent, in violation of both wartime medical ethics and international law. Of these cases, the death of the Italian prisoner of war, Ernesto Saxida, stands out for its severity. According to Specification 3 in the docket, quote, "The witness Williamson testified that Saxida was admitted to Ward No. 5 in March of 1945. The diagnosis was cirrhosis of the liver. He didn't show any signs of improvement, and he was also getting vitamin B and soybean milk every day. In June, Saxida was given his first injection. Williamson was called up to the office by the accused and given a cup of soybean milk to take it down to the operating theater, and this he did. He went back to the accused, who told him to bring Saxida. He went over and sat in the chair, and the needle was stuck in Saxida's stomach. With it attached was a tube running down between his legs. While the fluid was running from his stomach for up to 3 hours at a time, the accused would be busy boiling soybean milk. Williamson didn't know what he was going to use it for. Tokuda told him that he needed to hold the cup, and he took a syringe with about 20 cc's and filled it. He told Williamson to hold a cotton swab up to Saxida, and then he injected him with the soybean milk. We didn't know what the results were going to be, Williamson stated. Williamson was called back to take care of Saxida, as his bowels had collapsed and his legs flailed, as though he were on a bicycle. He also foamed at the mouth. Williamson stated, "I lifted his eyelids and his pupils were dilated. I sent for Dr. Tokuda and told him what happened. No medication was given for Saxida. Williamson stayed with him that night. The next day, he seemed to pull around. He acted like a baby, very childish. 3 days after the first injection, he was given another injection of the soybean milk. He told Dr. Keschner about it. The witness continued, I took him back to the ward, fully expecting what was to come. That is, I had already seen it previously. I thought he wasn't going to have any reaction. And then he let out a scream. He carried on for about 18 hours in this condition before he came out of it again. He still wasn't rational. I told him that Saxida was very ill and that he was unconscious. In the afternoon of the same day, I was sent for the laboratory. When I got there, I was told to prepare soybean milk. I didn't know who it was for. We went to the first room, and he told me to prepare Saxida for another injection. Saxida was unconscious. He tried to give intravenous injection into the arm, but it was impossible. After 6 attempts to get the jugular vein, he finally got it. He shoved the 20 cc's of soybean milk into the man's neck. After he took away the needle, there was a large lump in that form on the neck where the soybean milk had been injected. He told me to massage it. I didn't know what the effects would have on him. By that afternoon, I had to stay with him and see what came of it. He lapsed unconscious again and died. This was on the 30th of June, in that afternoon. The accused did not strain or filter the soybean milk which he injected, nor could it have been filtered by someone else. Saxida survived the first injection, but exhibited signs of neurological trauma, violent convulsions and foaming at the mouth, also with a marked cognitive decline, suggesting that of brain damage. 2 more injections followed, and the final one delivered into his jugular vein shortly afterward and died within hours of the 3rd injection. Tokuda's signed death certificate recorded the cause of death as cirrhosis of the liver, concealing the experimental nature of his treatment. For more information about human experimentation during World War II, be sure to go to www.pacificatrocities.org. Be sure to like and subscribe, and catch the next video to follow up on this subject. Thank you.